Alright, let's get this out of the way. Is the AFL Tribunal a joke? Yes, it is. Am I emotionally charged because Heeney's ban was upheld? No comment. I'm going to point out a couple of things before I begin. Firstly, off-the-ball hits will almost always be graded as intentional conduct, as this is the main argument of getting a player's suspension overturned in the event of a strike. Secondly, the impact level is often what determines a player's time on the sidelines. Obviously, a higher grading means more weeks. Thirdly, intentional conduct and high contact always begin as 1 week, and impact level adds weeks from there. Finally, I'm writing and recording this literally, an hour after Heeney got done in the tribunal, so subscribe to #FreeHeeney. With all that out of the way, let's start the countdown, in order of how dumb I think the tribunal decision was. Lui Neil and George Hu traded strikes in the opening round.
Yeah. Ooh, a little one.
George Hu was graded as careless conduct, low impact and body contact. Neil was also graded intentional conduct, low impact body contact. Both escaped with fines with early pleas of $2,500. Although these were both body shots, intentional strikes are intentional strikes. And this should have set the precedent for the year to come. Keyword being should have. Jesse Hogan's strike on Lewis Young in round 6 was graded as intentional conduct as it was off the ball, low impact and high contact as it was contact to the head after making contact twice with Lewis Young's jaw.
Jesse Hogan gave evidence. He said he wasn't even aware he'd hit Lewis Young in the face after this incident before Lewis Young said to him, "You'll get a week for that, mate." Jesse Hogan said, "What for?" He said, "You've just hit me in the face."
Charges were dismissed on appeal despite the head of the MRO being quoted saying, "Incidents similar to these could have handed down a match suspension." Zack Butters' strike on Tom Green in round 14 was graded as intentional conduct as it was off the ball, low impact and high contact as it was contact to the head after making contact with an open palm to Green's jaw.
Zack Butters possibly in trouble for lashing out at Tom Green behind the play.
Charges were dismissed on appeal for unknown reasons, possibly the open hand aspect to it, but I couldn't find much information as to why, so that's purely speculation on my part. Isaac Heeney's strike on Jimmy Webster in round 17 was graded intentional conduct as it was off the ball, low impact and high contact after making contact with Webster's nose, jaw area while grappling for position.
The tribunal still deems it an act worthy of suspension.
Despite having the same grading as many other striking charges, the suspension was upheld for unknown reasons. Personally, I feel like this was more of a footy action than the previous two, as it wasn't boxing in the centre square or the goal square. Look, I might be biased, but I don't think this sort of incident should cost a player a potential Brownlow medal. It's a total balls up from the tribunal for me. A direct quote from the tribunal was, "This was an intentional strike resulting in injury, and accordingly we consider a one-match suspension is appropriate." So this tells us that this is worse than a completely off-the-ball punch to the face, because the opposition player was injured in the process. Personally, with this one, again, I might be biased, but I feel like this was more in play, as in like not off the ball, than the Hogan one and the Butters one, because they were just in the goal square and in the center square and they just hit the guy in the chin, right? But Heeney, he's jostling for position and immediately leads at the ball, marks the ball, not to mention he even checked if Webster was okay. Like, there's no way that this was intentional, but the ban was upheld. Yeah, shocking decision, what can I say? Yo, Future Shark here, just jumping in to say Sydney are appealing the tribunal decision, but I'm leaving this on the list because the initial upholding of the ban was a load of old. Lucky number 1 is Lockie Schultz striking Blake Acres in the back of the head, which is commonly referred to as a king hit in round 8.
Right, Tom Darcy. That's what called.
This was graded as intentional conduct as the ball was out of play at a boundary throw-in, medium impact, and high contact as it was to the back of the head. This somehow resulted in only a 1-game suspension, which Collingwood accepted. My issue with this is it should have been way more. Like, although graded worse in the impact side of things, this resulted in the same level of suspension as all of the strikes previously, except Lui Neil and George Hu, for a king hit. This is again the AFL saying, well, Blake Acres wasn't injured, so, you know, it couldn't have hurt that much, give him a week. 1 week for an attempted king hit is mind-boggling. But that's my top 5 worst tribunal decisions of 2024. Even though it's early and the season's not over, it'll be really hard for them to top this, so here it is. Let me know if you've changed anything or if I've missed anything crazy that happened. I don't watch everything, so I don't know. Thank you for watching. I'm planning on doing some more of these top 5 lists, so stay tuned for those if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.